Welcome back. A Connecticut Attorney General Richard Blumenthal wants to know whether any of the more than 4,400 UBS account holders whose identities will be revealed to the United States may have evaded Connecticut state taxes. Joining us from Hartford, first on Bloomberg, is Richard Blumenthal. Mr. Attorney General, welcome to Bloomberg.
Great to be with you. Thank you, Mark.
Sir, you're seeking this information from the federal government. Where do things stand?
Well, the federal government will hopefully be receiving this information in the near future. As you know, there was an agreement between the United States and the Swiss governments, the Swiss Confederation, after UBS, as part of its deal with the federal government in connection with the criminal charges, agreed that it would reveal those names. And we've pierced the secrecy. Now it really needs to be removed, not only for the benefit of federal tax authorities, but also states. And obviously, states have an equal interest in making sure their tax laws are obeyed.
Right. Mr. Attorney General, you said there's reason to believe Connecticut citizens are among those UBS customers who may have evaded income taxes. What leads you to believe that?
We have information from various sources, and I'm not at liberty to reveal them, indicating that there are some Connecticut citizens or residents among the taxpayers or tax evaders that have accounts in Switzerland. And we want that information. We have contacted both the Internal Revenue Service and the United States Department of Justice. I've written personally to the Attorney General of the United States, hoping that they will make available this information, not only to Connecticut, but to other states that may have been cost revenue at a time when we very much need it, obviously.
Sir, without breaching any confidentiality, could this also be because there are a number of hedge funds in your state?
Well, we have a number of hedge funds in our state, but let's be very clear, there's no reason to believe that hedge fund investors or managers have hidden or secret bank accounts in Switzerland. We don't know who they are, and that's really what we want to find out. But there's no reason to believe that it's only hedge funds as opposed to private equity or others who may be completely unconnected with the investing markets.
Sir, the agreement that was reached last week between UBS and the Internal Revenue Service, what would it mean for Connecticut's tax base?
That depends on who and how much money is involved. We believe that obviously we have an income tax that is very much tied to the federal tax brackets and the federal tax returns. So it would mean, at the very least, we think, substantial amounts of money to Connecticut if we're able to recover from tax evaders any money. And we believe we can and should make this effort to pursue them. And remember, any money that we recover will be very important because most states, like Connecticut, face deficits and are struggling to make our ends meet, just as our families are struggling to make ends meet. And these tax evaders are really taking advantage of those hardworking individuals who pay their taxes and receive services. And the tax evaders are, in a sense, exploiting state services.
Should UBS account holders who come forward voluntarily receive reduced penalties?
Well, the federal government, as you know, has a tax amnesty program, good question, that will run until September 23rd. And our hope is that we will receive from them, as well as the federal government receiving from them, the kind of information they're submitting as to what they may owe. So we don't have a formal amnesty program, but I would certainly recommend that the penalties be waived or reduced.
Ex-UBS banker Bradley Birkenfeld, as you know, assisted federal investigators looking into some $20 billion in taxpayer assets hidden overseas. And last week he was sentenced to more than 3 years in prison for conspiring to help wealthy Americans evade taxes. The head of the National Whistleblower Center called the judge's sentence a deterrent to future whistleblowers. Do you agree?
I'm not sure that whistleblowers can be evaluated without knowing all the facts, and I don't want to comment on that particular sentence. Where whistleblowers cooperate, they are often rewarded financially. We have a state whistleblower program here in Connecticut, but the criminal culpability of a whistleblower has to be evaluated on the facts, just as when someone comes forward as part of an amnesty program, I wouldn't recommend across the board that penalties be waived or reduced. It would have to be an individual case-by-case judgment for the state of Connecticut.
Sir, we have about 30 seconds left. The IRS, as you know, already burdened by collecting mounting delinquent taxes. Experts say could take years to train new and reassigned employees to tackle those hidden offshore accounts. Won't the IRS's resources have to be shifted dramatically?
The IRS needs more resources, and as a country, we have to face the fact that enforcement requires resources. And I say that as someone who has been a prosecutor for several decades, that we make great laws, we put them on the books, and then we think they're self-enforcing, when in fact resources are required, particularly in the tax area where the rate of violations is so high. So the answer to your question, 30 seconds or less, yes, we need more resources. Redirecting them may be necessary.
The Attorney General for the state of Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal, joining us today from Hartford. Mr. Attorney General, many thanks.
Thank you, Mark.